Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lex Talks Stuff podcast, the podcast where I feel like talk about, whatever I feel like. And today, I'm trying something new here, trying to see if this can work. Uh, Recording with my DSLR camera instead of just, recording it on Zoom, see how this goes. Who knows? Maybe this will all go well. And today, my guest here is my father. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, my name's Chris. I work with pets. 60 years old, so I'd like to shed a little insight in our conversation today from some of my experiences as a kid and what our topic is going to be today.
So what I wanted to talk about today was us. Like recently, I was thinking about how we we talk about movies a lot sometimes, and you only watch like 3 movies like a year.
Well, I think that's I maybe watch more than that. If we're talking about going to the movies, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's mostly what the topic is about. It's about uh, like uh, should we keep going to movie theaters, or in the now streaming world has that become insignificant? And we'll see where that goes from there. And I'm just timing some things out, so we'll see how this goes. But yeah, so I feel like a lot of movie theaters, like what draws people to movie theaters the most is huge blockbusters and movies. Like, we saw Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters, and that might be the first time you've been to a movie theater and what, how long?
At least a couple, 2, 3 years.
Yeah. Because I feel like once the pandemic happened, I feel like you and Mom were kind of like, finally, we don't need to sit in a sweaty room where we can't pause the TV.
Well, so yes, we did go see Deadpool and Wolverine. It was great to see in the theater. But, mainly there's different motivations. So you and I like to do things together. And so that was an opportunity for us to go to the theater together. So really kind of no different than when you were little and we went to the, as soon as Transformers came out or as soon as any Marvel movie came out, we went to see it pretty quick because you wanted to make sure that you didn't get spoilers from your friends who may have already seen it earlier. So we always kind of make sure, we got there the first week or so that the movie came out and we could go during the week. So that was all pretty good experiences.
I mean, we saw most of the Marvel movies in theaters together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the streaming services really weren't quite what they were. I mean, if you look at the evolution of things and going back when I was a kid, if you wanted to see a movie, you had to go to the theater. There was no VHS, there was no streaming, there was none of that. I remember seeing Star Wars the first weekend that it debuted. Rocky, again, the first weekend that it debuted.
Saw Rocky in theaters.
So that's how you went to see a movie.
Yeah.
So you went to the theater, and it was cramped seats, and they were often movie theaters were full. Mm-hmm. But when were you actually going to get to see the movie again? So the only way back then, so let's say a movie came out and it was Rocky, you would see it on a network, maybe a year and a half after it debuted in the theater. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to see Rocky and all the hype, I'd have to wait a year and a half for it to come out on one of the major networks, NBC, CBS, ABC. So that was the motivation to go to the theater as well. So most people don't want to wait a year and a half for something that they're kind of hyped about and people are talking about. So you went to the theater. Mm-hmm. And it was also kind of cost-effective way to go too. It was an easy date night, that cliche of, movie and supper, for $20. You could do that back when I was, dating. So that was why you had to go to the theater. And even as you evolved into the 80s and then VHS became a thing, so you could buy tapes, but it was still months after the movie released that you could buy a VHS.
And how much were VHS tapes back then? I imagine they were not very expensive.
Well, remember your new releases, Blockbuster. So you're a huge Blockbuster fan. We went every single Friday night to Blockbuster, and you and Kate would we all pick out movies. Yeah. So if you think back, so a movie would come out, and the only next opportunity you had to watch it was when it's in Blockbuster.
Yeah, I know. And we had a theater near us, like right next to the Blockbuster. That because now that's a Planet Fitness.
Right. Yeah, Apple Valley Theater. They weren't always at the beginning first runs. I know Mom used to go to that as a primary theater, where I lived in Cranston, so we went to the Showcase in the Warwick, in the Warwick Mall is where we saw most of our movies.
Yeah, but so I remember definitely picking out a few movies at Blockbuster, but I don't remember. I always got DVDs. I never got VHS tapes. Did they have VHS tapes?
Yeah,
when we were going?
was we absolutely
No,
had
no.
VHS tapes.
I imagine they had them. Like, I knew they had them, but I was saying when I went, I don't remember seeing any of them.
Yeah, they were still VHS.
Okay.
At the time. Yeah, you loved Blockbuster.
Yeah, I know.
So much so when you found out Blockbuster was going out of business, you wanted to set up like a lemonade stand or something and do it to help save Blockbuster from going out of business. So I even remember that every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I felt bad. Like I was just like, now where the hell am I gonna get my movies?
Right, and then
But
at the time,
then we discovered Netflix.
well, Netflix, and they used to deliver our movies, so we would pick them out
Yeah.
online, and they'd show up at the house, and you'd have them for a week or whatever, and you had your next movie in the queue. That was when you send your movie back, then they'll send you the other one that you have in the queue. And then evolution from there, right? Then what happened? Netflix became one of the first streaming services.
Yeah.
So then everything changed from there.
So everybody forgets that Netflix used to be, for the younger viewers watching it all, that Netflix used to just be a DVD distributor.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you want to rent this movie? Here, we'll send it to you through mail. I remember we definitely got a few things that I wanted to see.
Yeah, I don't know what the timing of Redbox was with Netflix, because Redbox, and those still exist. Those are outside some convenience stores. They're loaded with movies. You pay your credit card. Drops a movie out, you return it the same way. So it was kind of like vending machine for movies.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look here real quick because I was just like, when did Redbox start? Like 2002, and Netflix. Wow, Netflix has been around since 1997. Oh, so Netflix even predates Redbox.
Yeah, so Netflix first, and then someone came up with ideas like, hey, let's vendor machine movies. Yeah. So again, you gave people more reasons not to go to the theater, because the distance of it release and its next form of media available gets shorter and shorter and shorter now. So when there's a new release, I can watch it on HBO Max within 2 to 3 weeks. Some movies, like the one we want to watch, Dear Santa, with Jack Black, that's not even releasing in the theater, and it's certainly billed to be a theater quality movie, but it's just being released on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I mean, but what's weird is, like, I keep thinking about it now, and sometimes it is nice that they release some stuff on streaming at home, and you watch it sometimes, and you're like, wow, this was way better than I thought it was going to be. Because there was always straight-to-video, straight-to-home movies, and now that's just feels like it's kind of become the norm. But, I mean, but let me ask you something, and that's one of the primary reasons why I wanted to have you on the show and talk about this, was why do you, like, what would take you to the chance to go to the theater? Like, what would grip you enough to be like, yeah, I'll go see that in theaters? Because I've certainly played movie trailers on the TV, and you've looked at some of them and are like, oh, these actually look pretty good, but you're just like, I'll just catch it when they come up at home. Like,
well, it doesn't lessen my interest in the movie. I just don't have a desire to run out and get there. So I'll give you my reasons, okay? So, number one, home is more comfortable than a theater,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Everyone will agree. So, home is way more comfortable. You have your own snacks, and it's expensive now to go to the theaters. Um, so, what is it, like $13 a ticket
Yeah.
to get in? And then plus you buy your thing of popcorn for $20 and this, that, and the other thing. And, someone's sitting in front of you with a hat and you can't see, or the place is crowded. So that's another like detractor for me why I don't want to go to the theater. Even though they've made them comfortable now with the recliners and they serve drinks, but it's a very expensive night out.
Mm-hmm.
When I could just wait a month from its release date and watch it at home on a streaming service. So I mean, I could wait a month.
But what would get you to be like, yeah, I'll see that in the theater?
Well, I'd have to be interested in the movie, and then it would have to be a non-streaming entity for a period of time. So, which I don't think anyone's done or that I've heard of, but saying that contractually they're only going to release this movie in the theaters and it won't be available on streaming or other forms of digital media for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. If they put a time on it and I really wanted to see that movie, well, 10 months is a long time for me to wait. I'd probably go to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, would they make more money because they're going to the theater or the streaming services? I mean, who wins in that? The people who make the movies, I think, can dictate where it goes.
Yeah, but also the problem with a lot of, like, sending it to streaming immediately, when you send it to a movie theater, you get the box office returns. You know how much the money made. You don't always... The revenue is not as clear when it's being sent to streaming, because sometimes streaming services like Netflix and Hulu, they don't release their how many people saw this movie. They just go, that did good, or no, that didn't do good.
Right.
It's not public, but when you do like box office, it makes it abundantly clear how many people are actually seeing this.
So I get that, but then imagine if you're I said something to consider for the people that own the movie theater, that own the movie production entities. So if they're going to make a movie and produce it, then contractually they have it set that it cannot be released on streaming or anything like that for a specific period of time. That would entice me, because now I don't want to wait 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
To see that movie.
Well, aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, what was the last movie you saw in the theater?
Sure it was with you.
Probably.
I think actually, it was all of us. We saw Infinity War.
Yeah, that was the last time all of us went to the
Right,
movie
and we were all
theater.
bummed out when we left.
Not me. I was happy with the movie. I was
Yeah.
like, that was awesome.
It's like Vision died,
Yeah.
and everyone turned to ash, or at least 50% of everyone turned to ash.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't leave feeling good about that one. Same as with the Doctor Strange movie you and I saw.
Yeah, I know you didn't like that one.
Well, no, because Scarlet Witch wound up like killing everybody.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, look, there goes Mr. Fantastic. Oh, nope, he didn't make it. Oh, certainly not Professor Xavier. Nope, him too.
Yeah.
So that was a little like a bummer.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of like Invincible.
oh yeah. I showed him he watched like the first 2 episodes with me and then was like, nope, and just
Well, when he
stopped.
decimated everybody, I mean, the Batman-like character whipped him by the cape and boom, face planted him into the ground into pulp.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, that was pretty graphic for that. But anyway, we digress. So yeah, I think the last one that we saw as a family was Infinity War. You and I have seen some here and there, but
Yeah. No, I don't remember the last time that we all went together.
yeah. So I think it's a comfort thing. One, expense is marginal, but also just sometimes time. It's easier. You're home. You get work from home. You have some supper, get cleaned up, settle in for the night, and watch a movie instead of doing all that, getting dressed again, going out for 2, 3, 4 hours, and then come home.
Well, I mean, it also gives you a chance to leave the house. Because, I know there's times, like, during the weekend where, like, I've been out work the whole week, and I come home at the end of the day, and then there's just times during the weekend where I'm like, I want to do something, but not just be at home. And so one of the things for me was, like, calling up a friend and going to the movies. Because it does allow you to socialize.
Right.
And I think there's something kind of exciting about the ability about, like, you need to go someplace to see this thing that you really want to see.
And
There's
sharing
this-
that experience with somebody else.
Yeah, that level of anticipation. Because also, like, there are movies that I'm never gonna see in the theaters because I'll never have the chance to see Godfather for the first time in theaters. I'll never have the chance to see Star Wars for the first time in
Right.
theaters. Lord of the Rings, though, would have been a long, sweaty experience, would have been worth it. I would have loved to have seen Lord of the Rings in, like, the theaters. Now, there are movies I'm happy that I saw in theaters, like, a lot of the Avengers movies, because you and I went to the first Avengers movie opening weekend. I begged you to take us
Yeah, no,
opening weekend.
we went. I think the only one we didn't go to, we didn't see Iron Man in the theater.
We didn't see Iron Man. We didn't see Hulk.
We started with no, because Hulk was actually before Iron Man.
Well, I know there was the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, and that's connected to the
Right.
rest of them.
Right, but I think it was so we missed Iron Man in the theater. I think it was Thor.
Yeah, Thor was really
was
the first one that we saw in
we
theaters.
saw, and they used to always release in May,
Mm-hmm.
and that was always around my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So for my birthday, you and I would always go to the theater and we'd watch. 'Cause every May there was a Marvel movie that debuted,
Yeah.
so that's how we saw quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the longest movie was Transformers.
Yeah.
The one with
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Age of Extinction.
Yeah, like Mark Wahlberg, but man, that was a really long movie.
Yeah, it did not need to be as long.
It
as
was
it
like
did.
3.5 hours.
Yeah, it was.
I remember halfway through it, I was like, oh, and then, of course, the good Stanley Tucci stuff started happening. Which
He really saved that movie.
he really did.
Like, for me, him and, seeing Optimus Prime made the movie for me.
So, but yeah, Stanley Tucci was awesome in the tail end of that movie when he was doing it. So yes, that kind of pulled it out. But that they could have shaved an hour off of that movie in the middle, easily.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's definitely, like I said, saw the first Avengers, saw many of the Avengers movies, and I know you wouldn't have gone with me to see this one, but I was so happy I got to see this in IMAX, and that was Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I can imagine. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Oppenheimer. So, but you want to talk about movie experience. So when I was a kid, there was the drive-in.
Mm-hmm.
And those who don't know what the drive-in is, it's a big giant screen that you parked your car on bumps, and you took a metal speaker and you hung it from your window, and that's how you got your audio and you watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they always played a double feature.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the last one that I saw, and it played in the Cranston Drive-In, which was where Bob's store is now.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area there.
Yeah.
That was the Cranston Drive-In.
Mm-hmm.
So the last movie I saw there, Mary Poppins opened,
Oh, wow.
and Poseidon Adventure was the second movie. So,
Guess which one was more watched?
well, and that's why they did it. So they would have like a kids movie,
Uh-huh.
and then they would have a more of an adult movie in the second, because then the kids should technically be sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought our pillows with us, and you watched it through the front windshield, because your car was slanted backwards so that you were pointing at the screen and looking. So people that had pickup trucks, they would have their pickup trucks turned around. So people would have chairs in their pickup trucks. You'd take a walk to the snack area and got hot dog, hamburger, and popcorn and soda. But again, so I remember that one. The second movie was the Poseidon Adventure, and it was a scary movie, considering I was probably like 8 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so whole cruise ship. I don't know if you know the story of Poseidon Adventure.
No, I don't. I've never heard of
Oh,
this
it's a
movie.
classic movie. It came out in the 70s. Starred like Gene Hackman and just so many stars. I can't even name them. And a lot of like Red Skelton, a lot of older stars. And it's a cruise ship that capsizes, and they lead through the bowels of the ship trying to get to the trying to escape. And scary movie, fire, and just the whole thing when you're like 8 years old, pretty scary. And in fact, I think they did they rebooted that. I think they did a remake of that movie as well recently.
What's it called again?
The Poseidon Adventure.
Okay. The Poseidon Adventure, 1972.
Yep. So that was another way you saw a movie, and those were new releases.
Oh, it's on YouTube TV. We could check it out.
At the time. So Poseidon Adventure. So this is a cast: Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine.
Borgnine.
Borgnine
Yep.
sounds familiar. Roddy McDowell, I know. Leslie Nielsen, I know.
Yeah, Jack Albertson. He was famous from Chico and the Man later.
Bob Hastings
yeah.
and Arthur O'Connell are names I recognize.
Charles Bateman. That's Justin Bateman's father.
Eric L. Nelson. Why do I know that name?
So yeah, but it was like just a whole dying movie. At the time, those movies were big. You had the Poseidon Adventure, you had Towering Inferno, Earthquake, Airplane. They were all like the big disaster type movies that were all around that same period in time. So there you go, Poseidon Adventure. So and that's when we went to the drive-in to go see a movie, and you paid by the carload. And so you paid by the car instead of by the person in the car.
I wish I had gotten the chance to ever do that.
So it was an experience. It really was.
Well, let's just pause for a brief moment to just check on our sponsors. Just kidding, there is no promo. Like anybody's gonna sponsor this. Anyway, enjoy the show. Wasn't that sponsor great? I have no idea what the hell it was. Anyway, so another thing I wanted to talk to you about was, we had talked about Marvel, we talked about Transformers. Now DC they have rebooted their universe again.
How many times is that?
I think this might be the third, but they have this new slate of films and TV shows. They have a new TV show coming out this week on Max, on HBO Max. Or Max as it's just called now. Because, as Conan O'Brien said, it was changed because it was too popular.
Right.
It's called Creature Commandos. It's an animated project. And James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, 3, the holiday special, and The Suicide Squad, along with the Peacemaker TV show with John Cena. He's now running DC. He's like, I am now in charge of it creatively and choose what movies I want to make and stuff like that. And
Right.
he even makes some of them himself, like not just produces them like some people. He just is, because he has like divided duties, because he has another person helping him that can deal with a lot of the business side. He can just do all the creative side.
Right.
And just have more of the fun, I guess. And so he announced like a Superman movie, which will be coming out next year in July, either June or July of 2025.
And who's going to star in that?
It's a guy you've never heard of. His name is David Corenswet. So he's been acting for a while now. He did like a show called Hollywood. He also did a show called The Politician with Gwyneth Paltrow. He also did this movie called Pearl, which was...
Did you say corn sweat?
Yeah, Corn Sweat.
It sounds like corn sweat.
Yeah, I know, it sounds
He
like...
should definitely have changed his name. Corn sweat.
I mean, in all...
I love corn sweat. I do, especially in the summer. Did you even know corn could sweat?
Possibly. I mean, it boils.
Apparently, and he's starring in Superman.
I mean, I'll show you a picture of what he looks like.
This is a rare thing. I mean, you actually have corn sweat starring in a movie in the part of the Superman franchise. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is what David Corn Sweat looks like. So I'm showing him a photo right now. So this is the guy. But yeah, this is him. This is him as Superman. And also this is the picture of him as Clark Kent.
That's what's up with his hair.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a bad wig.
I'm not a fan of it either. Tess loves it. She thinks it looks good on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I remember when it was announced he was Superman and that Henry Cavill was not doing anymore. It really bummed me out. But so he's got this whole universe. He's doing a Supergirl movie. He's doing a Green Lantern show. He's doing a new Batman movie with Robin, finally, after it's been like, what, 30 years? Because
who was Superman and Robin?
No, Batman and Robin are doing a movie.
Who's Batman going to be now?
We don't know yet.
Unknown Batman.
We're just waiting for the Superman movie to do well, and then everything else can continue rolling. Because he's got like this whole plan.
Right.
And so, what would it take you to see like the Superman movie in the theaters?
Free ticket, free transportation, and probably some sexual service while attending.
I almost offered.
He asked me the question.
I almost offered,
answered.
and then you said that last one. I was like, no. Because I was like, okay, I'll buy you a ticket. I'll get you a free dinner. No. And so.
But he did ask.
Oh God, this is unairable. But so, if I did have a free ticket to go see this movie, and I was offering to pay and everything like that, would you go see it?
Because you're asking me, I would.
All right. But yeah, it's just like what movies would take you? I know we talked a little bit about this, but like, what's a movie that would take you? Or like, are there specific stars that you're like, I like them enough that I would go see this movie?
Well, I do like collection movies, meaning like the Avengers. Mm-hmm. They all have their individual movies, but they're all together as a group. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that I always enjoyed. So when I was a kid watching Justice League, Super Friends.
Yeah.
Because it's a collection. Mm-hmm. It was way better than just one superhero. Mm-hmm. So if there was, another release where another Justice League type thing or a combination of
like a Batman and Superman movie, but they don't fight.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to probably throw a little Wonder Woman in there or something like that. I mean, but something that would be of interest. So at least I would. So I don't know.
They're doing a Teen Titans movie.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
Okay.
So there you go. So am I gonna go see that movie? No, because I have no idea who they are.
Well, a lot of the Marvel characters you didn't know who they were. Like, you never heard of Shang-Chi before.
No.
Yeah, like Shang-Chi, Guardians of the Galaxy, even Ant-Man.
Well, I do love Ant-Man.
What about Doctor Strange and Black Panther?
Doctor Strange I knew of. Black Panther, not so much.
Yeah. But, yeah, but what about, like, movies, like, they have the Knives Out movies, which star Daniel Craig, mainly through all of them, but they all star like very famous, well-known people.
Yeah, but even then, I know it's going to come out on streaming at some point. So all I got to do is wait like 5 weeks.
Well, I mean, who's an actor that or group of actors that you're like, if this person, if this person's in this movie. Yeah, you know what? I'll go see it.
There isn't anyone.
Really?
There really isn't. I mean, there isn't anyone to be like, oh, I have to absolutely go see that. I'm going to see it. I'm just going to wait a month.
I feel like Will Smith, The Rock, and Arnold used to be like the dominant people in like all movies because they would have like 2 or 3 movies a year. Like I counted, like Will Smith had so many movies in a year, and now like he's now just in like 1 or 2 movies a year. I mean, they're still doing well, but like, and people have had this new argument of like the movie star is dead. Because now the main attraction is not the movie stars, it's the franchises or characters that they're playing rather than the actors themselves. I disagree because if you see like Spider-Man, like all the promotion like posters is Tom Holland with his mask off. It's not a Spider-Man movie, it's a Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Well, I think so all the CGI, everything they do now in theaters, it's not going to be long before you have an AI movie star.
Oh, that's what the strikes were about last year.
Yeah.
Like all the actors and writers strikes. That's what it was all about. They were like, no, we don't want robots to replace us.
But it's still what's going to happen. I mean, you might as well because everything is. I mean, the guy can do a movie in his pajamas because everything is CGI'd in.
Well, I mean, yes, that's true. A guy in his pajamas could
right and never meet a co-star.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could animate a whole movie, but there are. I know you prefer movies that are just entertaining, but an AI can't recreate the soul of a movie. Like, would Star Wars be as fun as it is if it was made by a robot? Would, like...
No, I'm saying made, but acted.
Or
it depends on how that character is created. You know? So, yeah, it depends on how that's created, really.
Well, I would argue that, like, if you remove the humanity from the people making the movie's just less interesting. And we've seen, like, AI take over for movies sometimes because I remember it was a show. I don't remember what show it was, but the opening titles were all AI art images, and everyone was just like, "This looks so bland and boring." Like,
well, I mean, the way things are evolving now. You know, I'm just saying not right now, but down the road, I think you are. You know, you're gonna have favorite personalities that aren't real.
Well, should we?
Well, you already have that now. I mean, in animation.
Yeah, but animation still is made by a group of people and a main actor to point to.
Oh, I know. And their facial muscles, like all that stuff. I don't really understand all of it, how it happens. But yeah, like the actor that's portraying or doing the voice of somebody, you know, is them. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty cool. But again, is it going to drive me to a theater? Probably not.
Well,
just the convenience of it to be home.
The final question I want to ask, because we got to wrap it up. So, should movie theaters be gone? Should we, like, are we at a point where they are insignificant or outdated and that we should just dedicate all to streaming?
Well, I think you got to look at the evolution that's occurring with movie theaters. How before they were pretty bare bones, and now they introduced first comfortable seating, recliners. Yeah. Now you have cocktails that you can have in the theater. Mm-hmm. You can get a meal and watch a movie in theaters. The Luxes, I believe, that you can do that. Mm-hmm. So the movie industry understood, or the theater industry understood, that they were losing patronage, especially with after COVID. And they know they had to react. So they're trying to create more of an experience and the comfort. So all the things that I've already said, my reasons for not going to a theater, you know, it's not as comfortable. I mean, they're trying to counter those. but still it's not enough because now they're just charging me more to go to the movies because now I can be in a recliner and I can get a cocktail and I can have better food or actually have table service there. So they're just making my ticket more expensive, and it's being more expensive to go to some place that I don't really want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So even the things that they are not attracting me.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be, I don't know what it would be. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, one day I want to try to make films and see if I could get them into theaters.
Well, then obviously I would go to see movies in your theater because it's, it's a family thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's your work, and as your dad, that's of interest.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of it. Again, it's not that I don't want to see movies, because I do watch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Different movies. Well, not really. Remember, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch like 3 hours of TV a week. But as of recent, I've been watching other movies. Like I expanded my horizon to the Kung Fu with...
The Ip Man.
Yeah, Ip Man was awesome.
Yeah, I gotta watch that one.
So, and I've seen other movies with Donnie Yen as well. So I did that little genre for a little while, and that was pretty cool because they were all like hour-and-a-half movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to invest a lot of time in those movies, and they were entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of branch out in that way, and also my thing is I like to watch like the last 40 minutes of movies
Yeah.
so that I get all the good parts.
Mm-hmm.
So right after they hit the denouement, after that, then it starts building, and the good guys start winning, and things start going their way. So I tend to watch a lot of movies from that point in time because it's all feel good, and I'm done. It's happy. It's Rocky winning, and it's all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I guess there we are. So if you liked the way this format was done, just please let me know. And for our audio listeners out there, I hope the audio here was pretty good. We had to compromise on a few things. We couldn't get a secondary microphone working, a lot of troubleshooting that I didn't have a lot of time for. And this was what we could come up with, and I hope the fire in the background wasn't too bad. But but yeah, thanks for being on here and doing this. I know you don't have a lot of time on weekends because usually you take your weekends to do something else.
Yeah, so no, my pleasure to do so. I enjoyed chatting about these things, and it was a good topic. So thanks for having me on.
All right. And you can follow my social media. That I have an X, possibly not for much longer, but it's at Cancel Projects. That's what my Twitter account is. I have Lex Talks Stuff podcast on Instagram, and I'm currently trying to make a TikTok right now. And yeah, it'll be linked below here, and getting this on Spotify and everything like that. So, good seeing you. Bye.